Hello everyone, this is Steve Huff at SteveHuffPhoto.com. Today I am going to be taking a look at 4 cameras, one of which is my pick for Camera of the Year 2013. Here from left to right we have the Sony A7R, 36 megapixel powerhouse with a full frame sensor that rivals the one right next to it, the Leica M240. Which comes in at $7,000 without a lens, full frame, 18 megapixel, and it's a Leica M. It has that high quality build, the rangefinder experience, but $7,000. You're looking at under $2,300 for the 7R. And then to the right we have the absolutely amazing Olympus OMD EM1. I do have a little base on it for extra grip, so technically it's not that large. But you can see the Olympus right here with the 17 1.8. When I reviewed this one, I named it the most versatile camera ever. And next to that is the new full-frame Nikon Df, which houses the Nikon D4 sensor in a smaller, more compact package. You could see it next to the OMD EM1, and you can see the 50mm kit lens is much larger, which that's going to be the case on any full frame camera. But the Nikon Df comes in at around $2,700 for the body, or $2,800, and $3,000 for the kit with the 51.8 special edition. The Olympus EM1 is around $1,399. Add in that lens that's on it right now and you're looking at around $1,900 for micro 4/3. Again, the Leica 7000 without a lens, and the Sony A7R around $2,300 without a lens. So one thing you will notice right here is the DF is full frame, the Sony is full frame, the Leica is full frame, the Olympus is a micro 4/3 sensor, but yet it's still hanging with the big guys here. So I'm going to go over each camera separately and talk about my thoughts about them, and we're going to start with the Nikon DF. Okay, right here in front of me is the Nikon DF. The brand new Nikon, which they've been marketing and hyping as a throwback to the classic days, simplicity, pure photography. And they did a big teaser for this camera before it was announced. And as you can see, it resembles the old Nikons from the 70s and 80s with a little bit more thickness to it. And of course, when you look at the back, it's digital. The back of the camera looks almost like a D700, D800, but it's smaller. It's actually quite a bit smaller than a D800. And if you put it next to the Leica M side by side, the Nikon is taller. It's not much thicker. And as you can see the top here, we'll do this, and we'll do this. So it's not that much thicker, but you have this big hump where the optical viewfinder is, and it has a mirror. It's not a mirrorless camera, the Leica is. So here you have the 50mm kit zoom, and here you have the 35 3.5, an old classic Summeren on here. So it's larger than a Leica, but in reality it's really about the same weight. These two combos are about the same weight because Nikon made this in a little bit lighter weight, which is good, because if it was going to be as heavy as a D800, I would have had zero interest in the camera. Let's put it next to the Sony A7R, and as you can see, it's quite a bit larger than the A7R. It's fatter. Look at how big that lens looks in comparison. It's taller, it's fatter, and it's a little bit longer this way. And of course it sticks out with the lens, and if you throw on one of Nikon's Pro lenses, look out, it's going to be really huge. But what about these two cameras right here? The Sony A7R, everybody's going nuts for it. It's 36 megapixels, no AA filter, so no low pass filter to give you the most resolution. You have some manual controls up top. You could see my Sony A7 video on the YouTube channel where I go in depth with the menus and the controls and my thoughts on the camera. The only thing with the Sony is that it has a very loud shutter. It's a little slow in operation. The autofocus can be slow, and there's only 2 or 3 lenses out for the camera at launch. Sony is going to make more lenses, but it might take a year, it might take 2, might take 3 to have a good selection of lenses out for it. The Nikon Df can mount any Nikon lens, even old classic AIS and AI lenses, and you can manually focus them. I tried manually focusing this lens and it worked out great. I had no issues. So if you want full frame, these are 2 choices right here. The Nikon's about 27-2800 without a lens. This is 22-2300 without a lens. This is smaller. This has higher resolution, but this is slower to focus, slower to use. Feels a little clunky in use, but the files are gorgeous. And with this, you have the Nikon D4 sensor, which is their flagship camera at $6 grand. And this is going to give you the best low light performance of any 35mm camera that I've ever seen. ISO 12800, you can print files that are clean as a whistle. You won't see any noise, so that's pretty amazing. So that is it compared to the A7. Let's take a look at it next to the EM1. So the EM1 is the Olympus flagship for micro four thirds, and it is basically the best handling, fastest in use, fastest to autofocus, and most versatile camera that I've used, digital camera that I've used ever. It feels perfect in the hand. It's weatherproof, it's shockproof, it's freeze-proof. The autofocus is blazing fast. You're not going to get the full frame performance. You're going to get a wider depth of field. You're not going to be able to get as shallow of a depth of field as you would with the Nikon or the Leica or the Sony. But there's a plus to this. With the OMD EM1, you get really sharp files. It just works. Kind of like, Apple's slogan, it just works. When you shoot it, you're going to get a sharp file. You're going to get nice color. In low light, the Nikon's going to kill the Olympus. So it all depends on what you want. If you like to take your camera around with you every day, either one of these will work with a nice fast prime. If you're shooting in low light scenes, interiors, restaurants, pubs, clubs, anything like that, the DF is going to work better for you. The viewfinder is optical. It's very bright. This has the best EVF made today in it. And you're looking at about $1,400 for the body only on the Olympus, $27 for the Nikon. Olympus has a ton of amazing pro quality lenses. You have the 25 1.4 from Panasonic that'll work. You have the 17 1.8, the 12mm f2, the 45 1.8, the 75 1.8, and so on and so on. The new zoom, the 12-40, they're all small and compact. So you're going to get that small compactness out of the Olympus. I do have this base on here. This is an aftermarket product, so if I took that off, it would be even smaller. So the Olympus is smaller, but as you can see right here, that it's much thinner than the Nikon. The Nikon's about twice as fat as the Olympus. You turn them around, and you got the nice big EVF here, which is the EVF4. You got an amazing LCD screen that tilts and swivels. The Nikon does not have a tilt swivel, and the LCD on the Olympus is better. The controls, let's look at the controls on the Nikon. Up top here we have the dials. You have your dedicated dial for ISO, but if you have auto ISO engaged, it kind of overrides that. So you don't have to set this dial on auto. You can set it on in the menu. This, you can also set it all the way up to some crazy ISO of like 108,000 or something. But I found that 12,800, which is its actual reality cap, you can get really good results. You have your exposure compensation dial right here, and you have to push this metal button in to change them. Over here, you have your shutter speed dial, and over here you have your mode dial. When I first got it, I couldn't figure out how to turn the mode dial. Then I realized, oh, you pull it out and then you turn it. So you have manual, aperture priority, shutter priority, and program mode. Yes, you can shoot this in full manual, like many people are wanting to do, or you can shoot it in full auto, or you can shoot it in aperture priority, just like any other camera. But what sets us apart from something like a D800 or D4 or even a D610 is the unique styling, the retro styling, the feel of it, the controls. You're not going to get these controls on any of the DSLRs, and this is slimmer and more attractive than any DSLR, in my opinion. So you have the full frame sensor of the Nikon Df. It comes with the kit lens, the 51.8 Special Edition, which in my opinion is nothing really special. It's basically the 51.8 with a silver ring added, a little bit of a design difference. It's still soft wide open at 1.8. And yes, it is soft at 1.8. Those who say it's not have never shot with a Leica 50 Summicron or a Leica 50 Summilux or a Zeiss Planner ZM. Those are in a different league when it comes to shooting wide open, but it should, because this lens was what, 100 or 2 with the camera, so it's not like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 lens. For general use, it's fine, but you're going to get better results with something like the Nikon 58 1.4, or even cooler still, the old manual AI lens, the 50 1.2, which Nikon still makes brand new, and I will be reviewing with the camera. So here, this dial here, if I have it in aperture priority mode, so this is used to change the aperture when you're using a lens like this that doesn't have the aperture on the dial. If I was to complain about something right off the bat, when I first started up the camera, the power switch, it doesn't have a lever, so it's kind of tricky to turn on. It just has a grip. I think they wanted to keep with the circular design on top and have all wheels and dials, and they didn't want anything protruding. Also, here you have a light, which will turn on if I have the camera on. But let's take a look. When you turn it on, it's going to look like any other Nikon DSLR. You have your menu screens, and I'm not going to go over that right now, because what I want to go over is just the fact that the Nikon Df, with everybody bitching and moaning and complaining about the cost, the style, and all that kind of stuff, it's nothing but a D610 or D800, whatever. It actually fills the gap for those who do not want a big, heavy DSLR. And if I was given a choice, if somebody said you can have one of these for free, a D4, a D800, a D610, or a DF, I would take the DF. And why? Because the DF is something I would use every day, because it's small, it's light, and it's basically the smallest DSLR Nikon makes, according to them. And it feels like it in the hand. But the key thing for me is the lightness, and I love the manual controls, and I like the design. I'm not going to carry around a D800 or D4 every day for daily shooting. If I was doing pro work, yes, but if I was daily shooting, no. This would be a good daily shooter. The autofocus is fast. It's not as fast as the Olympus EM1, but it's faster than the Sony A7, and of course, faster than the Leica, because that's manual focus. So is the DF going to be my camera of the year for 2013? Nope. How about the Leica M240, a camera that all of you guys know I love and adore and have shot with a ton. It's ultimate in simplicity. It's the ultimate photographer's camera. Manual, focus, rangefinder, focusing, and framing, which some people do not like, some people can't get enough of. German build quality, solid camera, but the Leica M is not without its problems. The Leica M has suffered color issues, which have been improved upon with the latest firmware. There have been sensor issues with lines going through the sensor, and the usual quality control things from Leica. But I must say the M is probably their most solid camera to date. Definitely is in the digital world, not film. And it's pretty much been problem-free for me. I had a problem with one of them with lines through the sensor. It was immediately exchanged. So the Leica M, even though it came out in 2012, I believe, I didn't start shooting it till 2013. Will it be my camera of the year? Plenty of lenses to use with it. You can use third-party RF lenses, very versatile in that regards. Very easy to carry, very nice, stylish, attractive, but it's $7,000. So no, this is not my camera of the year. The new Sony A7R, which is very popular, very hot right now. People are dying to get a hold of one. They're out of stock already. A7 or A7R, you know, they're both similar. I actually prefer the A7 a little bit because it's faster in use. Not talking really about the AF, just the responsiveness. It doesn't seem as sluggish because it's not having to write those huge files to the card. And it's less forgiving, or more forgiving to camera shake when you're hand holding. But the A7R and A7 are fantastic offerings from Sony. Full frame, amazing quality that can beat the quality coming out of the Leica, or at least exceed it. But in some cases it will beat it. But it's a whole different kind of use. You have the EVF, which is not as good as the EVF in the Olympus. But it's a technological marvel. My only niggle with it is the loud shutter sound, as well as the fact that there's really only two decent lenses for it at launch. The 35 f2.8 Zeiss and the 55 1.8 Zeiss. That's it. So if you want to shoot native lenses, you have those two and the kit lens, which I did not like very much. I mean, it's a kit lens, it's cheap, some people will like it, but to get the most out of the cameras, you want a good lens on these guys. So I love the Sony A7. You could read my review at stevephoto.com. The image quality is fantastic, but is it my camera of the year for 2013? Nope. The camera of the year goes to the Olympus EM1, the OMD EM1, and this thing, when you use it with the right lenses, which is almost any Olympus or Panasonic fast prime, you're going to get gorgeous results. You're going to get very sharp and detailed files. You're going to get blazing autofocus. You're going to get decent video performance, not, you know, TV grade video, but enough for family movies. The focus is so fast and spot on, it never misses for me. You have the tiltable LCD, and people have been complaining a little bit about long exposure noise. I can go take a 5-minute exposure and have it be noise free. No problem. I've done many of them using the live time, the live bulb feature. The live time feature and live bulb is another thing no one else has. It's amazing to use. The 5-axis image stabilization, amazing in use. The image stabilization, I've never seen anything like it. The EVF4, which is the biggest and best EVF in any camera made today. Like I said, it's very solid, feels very rugged, shockproof, waterproof, weatherproof. You could take it out in the rain, you're not going to have a problem. You have the nice controls up top. It's very sturdy, very professional. This is Olympus's professional micro Four Third, and now 4/3 body, because you can use 4/3 lenses on it with the adapter, and it's pretty speedy now. So for all those reasons and many more, including lens selection, there are so many amazing lenses for this camera that are small, fast in aperture and autofocus speed, and just work very well. Even lenses like the Panasonic 8mm fisheye, that's, you know, a lens you don't use every day, but it's so cool to use it and shoot video with it. Has an external mic in, so if you want to record video with an external mic, you can do so. There's so many features. So for those reasons, the OMD EM1 gets my pick for camera of the year 2013 without hesitation. I like all the other cameras here I talked about. The Nikon Df I just started to use, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I can't wait to try it with some better glass. The Sony A7R is amazing as well. The image quality is what this guy is all about. It's more about image quality than speed and responsiveness and even build, even though it's built nice. And of course, the Leica M, which you know I love, but due to the price and the price of the lenses, if you want the camera and a decent lens, you're going to have to spend $13,000. And you're really not going to get better images than you will with something like this or like this. And even in some cases, this can beat out a full frame depending on what look you're trying to accomplish. So there you go. There's the 4 cameras, probably the 4 hottest cameras of 2013 in the digital world when you come to 35mm format. The Leica M240, the Sony A7 and A7R, the Nikon Df, and the Olympus OMD EM1. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed my little talk about these cameras and the new Df as well. And anybody out there who's looking for a great camera for Christmas or a gift, if you want to spend the cash, this one's easy to use. You get great results very easily, and you have some amazing lenses with it. But again, all these cameras are great. Just all depends on what you're looking for, what you want to accomplish, and what tugs at your heart. When you pick a camera, if you're picking one for yourself, go with something that speaks to you. Go